Emma was a fighter. At 32 years old, she had been raising her 6-year-old daughter, Lily, alone since her husband left them 5 years earlier. Life wasn't easy. Working double shifts at a diner during the day and cleaning offices at night barely kept food on the table. But Emma never complained. She focused on what mattered most: giving Lily a better future. Every penny earned went toward necessities or savings for emergencies. Yet no matter how tired she felt, Emma made sure to spend quality time with Lily, reading bedtime stories, helping her with homework, and teaching her the value of hard work. "Mommy works so we can have nice things someday," Emma often told Lily, brushing dirt off her hands after another long shift. Lily would nod seriously, hugging her mom tightly. "I'm proud of you, Mommy." Despite the exhaustion, Emma dreamed of something more: a stable career where she could use her mind instead of just her muscles. So when a prestigious marketing firm posted an opening for a junior strategist position, Emma saw it as a lifeline. She spent weeks preparing, researching the company, practicing responses to potential questions, and tailoring her resume. It wasn't easy juggling late-night study sessions with her demanding schedule, but Emma refused to give up. This interview was her chance to break free from the cycle of low-paying jobs and build a brighter future for herself and Lily. On the morning of the interview, Emma woke up early, dressed in her best professional outfit, a navy blue blazer and slacks borrowed from a neighbor, and kissed Lily goodbye. "You've got this, Mommy," Lily cheered, waving from the doorway. As Emma drove toward the city, rain began pouring heavily. The weather mirrored her nerves, but she pushed forward, determined not to let anything stand in her way. Little did she know, fate had one last challenge waiting for her before she reached that boardroom. The rain came down in sheets, making the roads slick and treacherous. Emma gripped the steering wheel tightly, her knuckles white as she navigated the winding country road that led to the highway. Her heart raced, not just from nerves about the interview, but also from the worsening weather. "Just a little farther," she muttered to herself, glancing at the clock on the dashboard. She was cutting it close, but if she hurried, she'd still make it on time. Suddenly, a loud thud jolted her car. One of the tires hit a deep puddle hidden beneath the waterlogged asphalt, causing the vehicle to skid uncontrollably. Emma slammed on the brakes, but the car fishtailed before finally coming to rest halfway off the road, its front bumper buried in mud. For a moment, Emma sat frozen, her chest heaving as adrenaline coursed through her veins. Then reality sank in. She was stuck, miles away from help, soaked to the bone from running outside to assess the damage, and completely covered in mud after slipping trying to push the car back onto the road. "No, no, no," she whispered desperately, looking down at her ruined outfit. The once pristine navy blazer now clung to her damp skin, streaked with dirt. Her slacks were caked in mud up to her knees, and even her shoes squelched with every step. Tears welled up in her eyes, blurring her vision. All those weeks of preparation, all the sacrifices she'd made, they were slipping away because of one stupid accident. "I can't go like this," she said aloud, shaking her head. "They'll take one look at me and laugh me out of the building." But then she thought of Lily waiting for her at home, the same little girl who believed so fiercely in her mom's ability to conquer anything. Emma couldn't let her down. Not today. Taking a deep breath, she grabbed her bag and started walking toward the nearest gas station, hoping to clean up as best she could. By the time she reached the office complex an hour later, she was drenched, disheveled, and utterly defeated, but still determined to walk into that interview room. As she approached the sleek glass doors of the corporate headquarters, Emma hesitated. Inside, well-dressed candidates sat confidently in the lobby, scrolling through their phones or reviewing notes. They looked polished, prepared, and worlds apart from the mess she had become. Her reflection in the glass confirmed her worst fears. Her hair clung to her face in soggy strands, her makeup was smudged beyond recognition, and her clothes were beyond saving. Every instinct screamed at her to turn around and leave, to spare herself the humiliation of being laughed at or dismissed outright. But something inside her refused to give up. "This is my chance," she reminded herself firmly. "I didn't come this far to quit now." With trembling hands, Emma straightened her shoulders, wiped away the remaining tears, and stepped inside. The moment Emma entered the lobby, heads turned. The receptionist glanced up from her desk, eyebrows raised in surprise. Nearby, impeccably dressed candidates whispered behind cupped hands, their expressions a mix of confusion and disdain. Emma felt every pair of eyes on her, judging, scrutinizing, dismissing. Her cheeks burned with embarrassment, but she forced herself to keep moving forward. She approached the receptionist, clutching her bag tightly as if it were a lifeline. "Hi," Emma said softly, trying to steady her voice. "I'm here for the interview with Mr. Carter." The receptionist hesitated, clearly taken aback by Emma's appearance. For a split second, Emma thought she might be told to leave, to come back another time when she didn't look like she'd just survived a mudslide. Instead, the woman nodded politely. "Of course. Let me check if they're ready for you." As the receptionist spoke into her headset, Emma stood awkwardly near the seating area, avoiding eye contact with the other candidates. One man openly stared, his lips curling into a smirk. Another woman whispered loudly enough for Emma to hear. "What is she doing here?" Emma wanted to disappear. Every instinct screamed at her to flee, to save herself from further humiliation. But she stayed rooted to the spot, focusing on the rhythm of her breathing. "Miss Roberts?" a deep voice called out moments later. Emma looked up to see a tall, distinguished man walking toward her. His suit was tailored perfectly, his silver hair neatly combed, a stark contrast to her disheveled state. This had to be Mr. Carter, the CEO himself. Before she could stammer an apology or explain her condition, he extended his hand warmly. "Ms. Roberts, I presume? Please, follow me." Emma blinked in disbelief. Surely, he would send her away once they reached the boardroom. Yet there was no hint of judgment in his demeanor, only calm professionalism. As they walked down the hallway, whispers followed them. Other executives peeked out of office doors, curious about the muddy woman accompanying their boss. Emma kept her gaze fixed straight ahead, determined not to let the attention break her resolve. When they entered the boardroom, the panel of interviewers exchanged glances. Some looked amused, others seemed skeptical. Emma braced herself for rejection, assuming Mr. Carter would apologize and ask her to reschedule. Instead, he gestured toward the chair at the center of the table. "Please have a seat," he said kindly. Emma hesitated, unsure what to do next. "Sir, I understand how I must look. If you'd prefer to postpone." Mr. Carter held up a hand, cutting her off gently. "Nonsense. Appearances don't determine capability. We're here to discuss your qualifications, not your wardrobe. Shall we begin?" His words caught her off guard. No one had ever treated her with such dignity in the face of chaos. Gratitude swelled within her, giving her the strength to nod and take her seat. The room fell silent except for the faint hum of the air conditioner. Emma clasped her trembling hands together beneath the table, willing herself to focus. "Let's dive right in," Mr. Carter began, opening a folder containing her resume. "Your background suggests a strong work ethic and adaptability. Tell us more about your experience managing teams under pressure." For the first time since arriving, Emma forgot about the mud caked on her clothes. Her mind shifted gears, zeroing in on the question. This was her chance to prove that she belonged here, not because of how she looked, but because of who she was. And so, despite everything, she began to speak. The interview began with a question that set the tone for the rest of the conversation. "Tell us about a time when you faced significant challenges in your previous roles and how you overcame them," Mr. Carter asked, leaning back slightly in his chair. Emma took a deep breath, her voice steady despite the turmoil she'd been through that morning. She recounted her years juggling multiple jobs while raising Lily alone, how she managed late-night shifts, dealt with difficult customers, and still found time to study online courses to improve her skills. "I've learned that challenges are opportunities in disguise," she explained. "When life gets hard, you either give up or find a way to grow. I chose growth." Her words resonated deeply with the panel. One interviewer nodded thoughtfully, jotting notes on her resume. Another chimed in with follow-up questions, clearly intrigued by Emma's ability to stay resilient under pressure. As the discussion continued, the atmosphere shifted. What started as polite curiosity turned into genuine engagement. Emma's answers revealed not just technical expertise but also emotional intelligence, a rare quality they hadn't expected to find among candidates. At one point, Mr. Carter leaned forward, his eyes sharp yet kind. "You mentioned balancing work and parenting. How do you prioritize responsibilities when everything feels urgent?" Emma smiled faintly, remembering countless nights spent helping Lily with homework before heading out to clean offices. "It's all about focus," she replied. "I break tasks into smaller pieces and tackle what matters most first. Being a mom taught me to multitask without losing sight of the big picture. Whether it's meeting deadlines or making sure my daughter has dinner on the table, I approach every task with purpose." Her response earned approving murmurs from the panel. They probed further, asking about specific strategies she used to handle conflicts, manage budgets, and innovate solutions in high-pressure environments. Each question gave Emma an opportunity to showcase her problem-solving abilities, and each answer reinforced their growing admiration for her. But it wasn't just her qualifications that impressed them. It was her authenticity. When asked why she wanted this job, Emma didn't hesitate. "This role represents more than just a paycheck," she said earnestly. "It's a chance to create something meaningful, to use my skills to help people connect with ideas and brands that matter. And honestly," she paused, glancing at her muddy hands folded tightly in her lap, "it's a chance to show my daughter that no dream is too big if you're willing to fight for it." The room fell silent for a moment. Even the skeptical interviewer who had raised an eyebrow at her appearance earlier seemed moved. Mr. Carter broke the silence with a softer tone. "You've overcome incredible odds to get here today," he observed. "What drives you? Where does that strength come from?" Emma thought carefully before answering. "My daughter," she said simply. "She's my reason for everything. Every sacrifice, every late night, every challenge. I do it all so she can have a better life. But beyond that, I believe we're put on this earth to make a difference, no matter how small. If I can inspire even one person to keep going when things feel impossible, then I've done my job." Her honesty struck a chord. The panel exchanged glances, silently agreeing that this woman possessed qualities far beyond what any polished resume could convey. To lighten the mood, Mr. Carter posed a hypothetical scenario. Imagine you're leading a team tasked with launching a product campaign, but halfway through, funding gets cut in half. What would you do? Emma didn't miss a beat. Drawing from her experience managing tight budgets at the diner, she outlined a step-by-step plan to reallocate resources, streamline processes, and leverage creative solutions to maximize impact, all while keeping morale high within the team. By the end of the hour, the tension in the room had dissolved completely. The initial awkwardness of Emma's arrival had faded entirely, replaced by mutual respect and admiration. As Mr. Carter gathered his notes, he glanced around the table at the other interviewers. Their expressions said it all. They were impressed. More than that, they were inspired. As the interview drew to a close, Emma braced herself for the inevitable polite dismissal. Surely, despite her strong performance, her appearance would overshadow everything else. She rose from her chair, offering a quiet thank you to the panel. But Mr. Carter stopped her before she could leave. "Ms. Roberts," he began, his voice firm but kind, "thank you for taking the time to meet with us today. Your answers were insightful, your perspective refreshing, and your determination undeniable." Emma nodded, expecting him to follow up with something about rescheduling or considering other candidates. Instead, he continued, "We've interviewed dozens of applicants for this position," Mr. Carter said, glancing around the table at the nodding heads of his colleagues. Many had impressive credentials, years of experience, and polished presentations. But none demonstrated the grit, authenticity, and passion that you brought into this room today. Emma's heart skipped a beat. Was he saying what she thought he was saying? "It takes courage to walk into an interview covered in mud and still give it your all," he added with a small smile. "That tells me more about your character than any resume ever could." The room fell silent as the weight of his words sank in. Then, without hesitation, Mr. Carter stood up and extended his hand. "Congratulations, Ms. Roberts. The job is yours if you want it." For a moment, Emma couldn't breathe. Her mind raced, trying to process what had just happened. Had she really gone from being drenched in mud to landing her dream job in the span of an hour? "Yes," she whispered, shaking his hand firmly. "Yes, I want it." The panel erupted into applause. Not the formal, obligatory kind, but genuine, heartfelt clapping that filled the room with warmth. Even the skeptical interviewer who had whispered earlier now wore a look of admiration. As Emma stepped out of the boardroom, the receptionist greeted her with a wide smile. "Well done," she said warmly. "You handled that beautifully." Other candidates lingered nearby, watching in awe as Emma walked past them. Gone were the smirks and judgmental stares. Instead, there was respect, and perhaps even a little envy. Back home later that evening, Emma struggled to contain her excitement as she told Lily the news. "Mommy got the job!" she exclaimed, scooping her daughter into a hug. Lily squealed with delight, hugging her tightly. "I knew you could do it. You're the best mommy ever." Tears welled up in Emma's eyes as she held her daughter close. All the sacrifices, late nights, and challenges had led to this moment. A chance to build a better future for both of them. The next morning, Emma reported to work, ready to prove herself once again. Her new colleagues welcomed her warmly, already aware of her remarkable story. Word spread quickly through the office about the woman who had walked into her interview covered in mud and walked out with the job offer of a lifetime. Mr. Carter made sure to introduce Emma personally to the team, emphasizing the values her hiring represented. "True talent isn't defined by appearances," he told the staff during a brief meeting. "It's revealed in how someone handles adversity with grace and determination." Emma reminded us of that yesterday, and I'm proud to have her on our team. His words resonated throughout the company, sparking conversations about resilience, humility, and the importance of looking beyond surface-level judgments. Employees began approaching Emma not just to congratulate her, but to learn from her perspective. Over the following weeks, Emma proved herself invaluable. Her innovative ideas revitalized stalled projects. Her leadership inspired collaboration among teams, and her dedication earned the trust of clients and coworkers alike. It wasn't long before she became a cornerstone of the department, exceeding expectations at every turn. Yet despite her success, Emma remained humble. She often reflected on that rainy morning, the accident, the mud, and the CEO's unexpected kindness, and marveled at how one decision had changed everything. Emma's journey didn't just transform her life. It also left a lasting impact on those around her. Her story became a beacon of hope within the company, reminding everyone that true potential often lies beneath the surface. It wasn't long before Mr. Carter began incorporating Emma's hiring experience into leadership workshops, using it as an example of how to recognize talent beyond appearances. "Too often, we judge people based on first impressions," he told his team during one such session. "But greatness doesn't always come wrapped in a neat package. Sometimes, it shows up covered in mud. And if you're not paying attention, you might miss it entirely." His philosophy resonated deeply with employees, sparking changes in the way they approached hiring and collaboration. The company implemented new training programs focused on diversity, inclusion, and empathy, encouraging managers to look for hidden strengths rather than relying solely on traditional metrics like resumes or attire. For Emma, the job was more than just a career milestone. It was validation of her hard work and resilience. Every success she achieved reinforced her belief that perseverance pays off, no matter how challenging the circumstances. She poured her heart into every project, determined to prove that Mr. Carter's faith in her hadn't been misplaced. Her relationship with Lily grew even stronger as their lives improved. With a stable income, Emma could finally afford activities she'd only dreamed of before. Dance classes for Lily, family outings to the park, and savings set aside for college. But perhaps the most valuable gift Emma gave her daughter was the lesson that anything is possible if you refuse to give up. "You can be anything you want to be," Emma told Lily one evening as they sat together reading bedtime stories, All you have to do is keep going, even when things get tough. Lily nodded seriously, snuggling closer. Just like you did, Mommy. Emma smiled, brushing a strand of hair from her daughter's face. Exactly like I did. Outside of work, Emma's story spread far beyond the walls of the company. News outlets picked up on the tale of the mud-covered interviewee who turned adversity into triumph. Interviews followed, along with invitations to speak at events about resilience, determination, and breaking barriers. At first, Emma hesitated to share her story publicly. She worried about drawing too much attention to herself or appearing boastful. But then she realized something important. Her experience wasn't just hers alone. It belonged to anyone who had ever felt underestimated, overlooked, or dismissed because of their circumstances. If my story can inspire even one person to believe in themselves, she said during her first public speech, then sharing it is worth it. Her message resonated with audiences across the country. People wrote letters and emails thanking her for reminding them that setbacks don't define us. They shape us. Parents told her how they used her story to encourage their children to persevere through challenges. Job seekers shared how her courage inspired them to pursue opportunities they'd once thought were out of reach. Through it all, Emma remained grounded. She credited her success not just to her own efforts but to the kindness of others. Mr. Carter for seeing past her muddy exterior, her colleagues for welcoming her warmly, and Lily for believing in her unconditionally. I didn't get here alone, she often said. It takes a village to lift someone up, and I'm so grateful for mine. As months turned into years, Emma continued thriving in her role, earning promotions and accolades along the way. Yet she never forgot where she came from, or the lessons she'd learned along the way. One rainy afternoon, as she stood by the window watching droplets race down the glass, Emma reflected on how far she'd come since that fateful day. Life still threw challenges her way, but she faced them with the same grit and grace that had carried her through the mud-soaked interview. She realized something profound. Success isn't about avoiding storms. It's about learning to dance in the rain. And Emma? She danced beautifully. Emma's story is more than just an inspiring tale. It's a powerful reminder of the strength we all carry within us. Her journey from walking into an interview covered in mud to earning her dream job teaches us that true character isn't judged by appearances. It's revealed through determination, authenticity, and resilience. And now, it's your turn to take these lessons and apply them in your own life. Think about the people around you, your family, friends, coworkers, neighbors, or even strangers you encounter every day. How many of them might be facing challenges you can't see? Maybe they're struggling financially, battling self-doubt, or dealing with personal hardships that make each day feel like climbing a mountain. What if you were the person who stepped in to offer support, encouragement, or simply a listening ear? Start small but meaningful. Offer help without waiting to be asked. Hold the door open for someone carrying heavy bags. Smile at a stranger who looks like they're having a tough day. Leave a kind note for a coworker or neighbor who seems overwhelmed. These gestures may feel insignificant to you, but to someone else they could mean the world. Speak up when it matters. Like Mr. Carter choosing to look beyond Emma's muddy exterior, use your voice and actions to challenge stereotypes and biases. If you notice someone being underestimated or dismissed because of their appearance, background, or circumstances, advocate for them. Stand up for fairness and inclusivity in your workplace, community, or social circles. Courage isn't always loud. Sometimes, it's as simple as saying, I see you, and I believe in you.